Hey everyone, welcome to Mountain Beast Mysteries. Today we're going to be talking about the idea of the supernatural or paranormal Sasquatch ideas and a few of my thoughts on that. So it's going to be a very interesting video on a somewhat controversial topic in the Bigfoot community. But first I would like to mention again that the GoFundMe campaign for Bigfoot Quest for the Wildman is still live, and the link is down below in the description for those of you who still are looking to donate to that project. Thank you to everybody who's donated so far. I really appreciate that, and I can't wait to share this project with you guys. You can see here this footage. It's a kind of like a mock-up title sequence that I created for the film series, and it'll probably look a bit different in the end, but I thought it looked kind of cool, and I thought I would share that with you guys as a little sneak peek. I really want to push the quality and the production value in that series to make it better than, anything I've put out so far. So really looking forward to that. Okay, so the supernatural Sasquatch. I wanted to talk about this today because I recently had spoke to an individual who was doing some research and investigating out in British Columbia, and I'm not going to give any details away to who this person is, but they were having some very, very incredible close-up encounters with these Sasquatch beings. Close enough that, you could almost reach out and touch them, like they were coming right up to this individual multiple times, and on pretty much every occasion they would have these visual sightings and have strange things happen, which is pretty crazy. You always do have to be suspicious about people who claim to have encounters on a regular basis because, there's a lot of people who invest serious time into looking for Sasquatch and trying to bring them in and habituate them, but they don't have any luck. And then there's people out there who, the first time they go out into the wilderness, they have these crazy, amazing encounters that sound absolutely fantastic. So you do have to be a little bit cautious when, taking these stories in, these encounters. You got to kind of filter through them to figure out what's legitimate and what is BS. But I have a very good feeling from this individual. They seem very trustworthy. And the interesting thing about it that made me think of the supernatural Sasquatch is that they said that on multiple occasions, during times when they were encountering these beings, they were experiencing strange light anomalies in the forest. As these lights would appear, they would flash and do strange things like that. And at the same time, these Sasquatch beings seem to be, coming around and appearing in the forest around them. So that is a very, very, far out kind of idea. I don't know how many people out there, if there's any of you who have had Sasquatch encounters who have experienced these kind of strange light anomalies. The really crazy thing is that not only this individual, but a lot of other witnesses who I've spoken to and, who I've come across, they will go out in public and talk about their Bigfoot encounters on, say, like a podcast or a radio show or on TV, and they would describe the events of what happened, but they wouldn't describe these strange supernatural or paranormal things that are going on, like these light anomalies, weird sounds, things like that you wouldn't normally attribute to Bigfoot. And it's not till you talk to them in private where they're like, yeah, like this crazy Bigfoot stuff happened, but there's other stuff that happened as well that I didn't want to talk about publicly because it seems way too crazy and people will think I'm crazy and they won't believe me. So it's very interesting when you talk to a witness, in private, and you get to hear all these other elements that they were too scared to tell, to everyone else in the world for fear of ridicule. There is a huge number of reports that have these strange elements, and so it's definitely an important thing to look into. There's a lot of believers out there in the supernatural Sasquatch, with these encounters that they have that include high levels of, strangeness. It's such a significant part of the Bigfoot lore nowadays that it can't really be ignored. There's someone else I know who's, a family member of mine, very close to me, who had a very crazy experience when he was camping out alone by a river in the wilderness a couple years ago, and in the middle of the night he woke up for whatever reason, just kind of randomly, and had a strange light orb fly like down the river below the tree line, up close to his camper, and then it took off. Scared the crap out of him. He didn't know what it was. He was, almost ready to shoot at it with his rifle. And then, after it took off and he kind of calmed down, it ended up coming back and checking him out again. A strange light orb that was highly visible and didn't make any noise. So, the second time it came around, it really freaked him out. But during that experience, there was no Bigfoot encounter, but there are just weird stories like this that seem to, come to light every now and then. A really interesting thing that I noticed when I was watching the second Missing 411 documentary, near the end of the film, they talk about the Sierra Camp and Ron Moorhead's Sierra Sound recordings. If you're not familiar with them, here's a quick clip of those audio files. So Ron Moorhead's recordings are quite popular in the Bigfoot community. You can, hear how strange they really are. During the Missing 411 documentary, he kind of talks about other strange things that they encounter in that Sierra camp where these sounds are recorded. Not just these Bigfoot beings coming close to their camp and, making these vocalizations, but there's other weird things that happen, such as these light anomalies, and light rods that are flying around, and really weird supernatural-like things that are going on. And I noticed, kind of when I was watching that it's very similar to things that Dr. Stephen Greer has filmed on his retreats out into the wilderness in attempt to make contact with ET beings. Very strange. They have a huge collection of video clips and photographs of strange lights and weird rods and things flying around in the sky and beings kind of like appearing around them during these weird, meditation sessions out in the woods. It gets really far out there, but it definitely seemed to have some similarities with the stuff going on in the Sierra camp and, with all these other reports that people are sending in. At the end of the day, I think it's really important that we have some people looking into the supernatural stuff and some people looking into, the typical flesh and blood theory kind of stuff. It's really important that we have both sides, just because the supernatural thing is so, I guess, popular nowadays and people are coming forward with more accounts. They seem to be more willing nowadays to come forward with these stories. But, if we have these supernatural investigators and these flesh and blood investigators doing their own thing, and then, coming together and sharing information, sharing their findings, and working together instead of just, scoffing at each other and saying, oh, this is what it is, I'm right and you're wrong, and back and forth like that, I think it's important that we look at both sides because, what is the supernatural? What is paranormal? I always like to think, in the future that what we think now is paranormal is going to be normal based on, advancements in understanding and with advancements in technology, our ability to actually know what's going on with these strange happenings. It's all going to be easier to understand as time goes on, and we have the ability to actually figure out what these things are. It's going to be normal. I don't know. I've always been open to any idea or any theory. I don't like to say, no, this is wrong, and yes, this is right. I don't like to give definitive answers on anything because I don't know what these things are, and nobody really does. A lot of people say that they do, but they don't really. It's not a bad thing to be open to the supernatural idea. A lot of investigators kind of shy away from it. And I think that's just a way to further attempt to legitimize themselves, in the Bigfoot community, which is kind of crazy because, We're talking about Bigfoot here. It's already like a crazy thing to be looking into, right? It's not going to be a big deal to kind of just, be open to the paranormal ideas or theories, It's Bigfoot. Let's just investigate all aspects and respect each other. And if you guys have any stories or reports of your own of encountering other strange things in the wilderness, such as these light anomalies, other weird noises, or if you've seen or if you've witnessed these things while having a Bigfoot encounter, let me know. Let me know in the comments down below. Send me a message. And I'd love to hear all that stuff, because it does seem to be happening. Well, I don't know if it's happening more nowadays, but people are definitely more willing to come forward about that sort of thing, especially when you're talking to them one-on-one. The supernatural stuff's pretty much impossible to prove unless you actually film a Sasquatch appearing, out of a portal or however they do it. It's more reasonable to be, searching for proof of a flesh and blood creature. I don't know, these are just some of my thoughts on this topic. It's very touchy for a lot of people, and a lot of people who want to be, legitimate or known as legitimate in the Bigfoot community. I don't claim that I'm right about anything and that I have any answers, because I don't. I speculate a lot, and you guys can take what I say and think of it what you will. I'm just sharing my thoughts, and that's what we've done here since the beginning on Mountain Beast Mysteries. So like I said before, if you're still interested in donating to the Bigfoot Quest for the Wildman documentary series, the link is down below in the description. We're doing really well on there so far. We have, nearly a third of the funds raised, so we're definitely going to make it to the goal. I also keep forgetting to mention that I do have a merchandise shop available on spreadshirt.ca. I have a link for that down below in the description if you're looking to get, a t-shirt or a hoodie or something of that nature. One of my subscribers, Sam, he actually recently sent me some photos from Henry Lake, which is where I went in my first Bigfoot documentary, Wildman, My Search for Sasquatch. If you remember back then, the first part of the film, I go to this creepy lake in the mountains in British Columbia, and that's where I'm investigating my dad's Bigfoot experience. But you see the photos here, he went there and he had one of the t-shirts, so I thought that was kind of cool. But yeah, thanks for watching this video, guys. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. We'll see you next time on Mountain Beast Mysteries.